the Real Hustle Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Chris Kiblin. Real hustle, real people, real results. You can help support our podcast by checking out our Real Hustle gear. We have t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, hats, and more. The Real Hustle gear is great for the gym or even a night out on the town. Let everyone know that you are a real hustler willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. You can check us out right now at realhustle.com, and right now we're offering all of our listeners 10% off when you use the promo code podcast at checkout. Once again, that is podcast to receive 10% off your entire order. realhustle.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Hustle Podcast. My name is Chris Kiblin, and I will be your host. We bring in successful people in either business or life and talk about their journey on what it takes to be successful. So if you're looking to be successful, then this podcast for you. All right, so I have Cruz from Signature Look in studio today. Hey, Louis, how are you?
Good, Chris. I appreciate you having me today, man.
I appreciate having you here.
Yeah.
So, Louis, you are a photographer, own your own business for Signature Look. You've been probably my photographer, for what, 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah. It's been it's been about, I think, 3.
I mean, it's been a minute.
Yes. It's been good to kind of go through the process of growing and actually, creating new things for you. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know we've done some cool stuff.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about what Signature Look is, a little bit about your business?
Absolutely. So Signature Look, I started it off, in 2015, and basically was looking for. Was going to be doing families and weddings and all the things that normal people get into when they first start into photography. When I first picked up a camera was when my first daughter was born, so about 15 years ago, and then I kind of loved the quality of it, so I started to play with it, and after a few years, took a workshop, and it was a sunset photography workshop at the beach. And that kind of opened up my eye to what the camera could actually do with different off-camera lighting and things like that. The instructor, I asked him if he ever needed anything to let me know that I could assist him. He didn't have to pay me or anything like that. Sure enough, about a month later, he gave me a call. We went and did a wedding together, and we hit it off. Our personalities meshed very well, and so we became good friends, and even until this day, many years later. But yeah, I continue to do weddings with him, photo shoots and things like that. So he kind of guided me through the process of learning how to use off-camera flash, posing, and all of this stuff. And I think that, I've gotten to the point where I feel great to say either I'm right there with him or I've surpassed him in only a certain aspect, which is probably headshots, because of the fact that now, I'm not doing weddings and things like that. I rather do professional events, and then more than anything, headshots and portraits. So I like a little bit more edgier lighting than he does and stuff like that. So, kind of the stuff that we've done with you. So
yeah,
creating nice, strong looks for people.
No, I like it. So, all right. So you got into this, and then let's kind of back up before you got started in this business, because this kind of just didn't happen overnight. You were what, in insurance?
Yeah, I was
an
insurance agent. Yeah, I was an insurance agent, literally from my youth, man, because I graduated in 2002 when I was 17. I started working at ADT, and then they closed down a year and a half later. So when I was 19, I got the job at the insurance office, and I literally stayed there for 13 years.
Wow.
So, contrary to entrepreneurs and business owners, my father always taught me, hey, you get a good job, you stay there. And so I grew up with that concept.
Right.
So, I literally stayed at the same office for 13 years, and then when I got into my 30s, that's kind of when life was like, all right, you need to do something with your life, And then so I love the insurance industry, love customer service, and I think that once I rolled into photography, it was something that, again, my customer service ability to talk and help people out really helps me also during my photography sessions, because I'm a people person. So
you do it well. I can't tell you that, because when we're sitting there and you look for the perfect thing, you talk, it's just like it's very. You can just tell you have that service. That's when I'm sitting there, and we talked about it just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Like I hate smiling when I'm getting my picture taken, and it's so hard and unnatural, but you make it work.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, it's like pulling teeth. My wife is always yelling at me because I never smile in any pictures. And so, but you make it work, and you could find that. So, all right. So then you had your child, right? And you started taking pictures of your child, and that kind of like grew into everything.
Exactly.
And then you found your passion. So how did you come up with the name Signature Look?
So the Signature Look was something that, again, going back to my friend Angel Navarro, a great photographer, he and I were going to basically kind of unite and open up a studio together. I was still working in insurance, and he already had his studio. And so when we wanted to begin to work together, then his business name is his name, and so obviously if we were going to try and do something together, we needed a new name. And so I had in my head the look, and he's like, man, it's missing something. So we grabbed a photography magazine, and he just started naming off words. And as soon as he said signature, I said, that's it, the Signature Look. And so we created it together. He designed the logo, and I continued to work in the insurance, so I actually never left the job to go do it with him. He also, having a reputation and having longevity with his name and website and things like that, felt like it was going to be a big transition to move everything over also. So at the end of the day, we just kind of let it sit. And then so I continued to photograph and things like that. But then I got to a certain point where I said, okay, can I have the logo? Can I have, what I mean?
Right.
And he was cool with it, of course, you know what I mean? And so then the Signature Look was born. I opened up the LLC and everything like that, and then continued to work with him. He let me use the studio and things like that. So it allowed me to again, learn studio work, whereas before it was a lot of outdoor sessions, weddings, and things like that. So that's kind of where I got my first taste of a lot of studio work. And loved what I can provide to somebody in studio, because it's just so much more comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Florida is hot, and
Exactly.
especially when you're photographing a female or something like that with long hair, makeup. They usually don't want to be outdoors
Not that
sweating.
long.
So yeah, it's got to be a quick thing, and so kind of puts a little bit of pressure on me. But at the end of the day, I love my client feeling comfortable. So the studio setting actually works well for me. So.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, all right. So tell me, what's your favorite? Okay, so you like the studio. So what's the biggest event you've ever done? Or tell me about one of the most memorable photo shoots.
Yeah, well, this kind of got me started into headshots. We photographed a person who most of their life was a large person. And at that time, my wife was with me and was helping me out and things like that. So this person had lost a lot of the weight, but mentally they were still in that heavy mode, you know what I mean? So, or heavy mentality. So when we asked her to send us photos of what she was going to bring, everything was very large, everything was very blocky, right? And so my wife, she came to the studio, and my wife, kind of stood in the mirror with her and kind of like literally grabbed her clothing and kind of pulled it in and said, "This is who you are." And that triggered something in her. I mean, honestly, she went and bought a whole wardrobe literally for this photo shoot, which she kept. And she looked fantastic. I mean, we did her hair and makeup. At that time, I was doing hair and makeup. I don't anymore, right? But, at that time, it was a full transformation for her. And it carried on after the shoot. So to me, I just understand how important, the way people see themselves is. You know what I mean? We all have self-doubt. We all have little things that we don't like about ourselves. But, that is when I knew what the power of photography really is for me. I saw what it could do for somebody's self-esteem. And so again, any client that walks into my studio, I try to, we sit down and talk for a little while, you know what I mean? Because it helps them relax, it helps me relax. But at the end of the day, I get to realize who that person really is and maybe what their worries are. Females are usually the first ones to tell you, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or, I like this side. Whatever the case is, I want to be able to cater to that client without rushing them, without, making them feel bad at all, but always promoting, hey, you're awesome just the way you are. You're beautiful, or you're good looking, whoever it is, you know what I mean? My goodness, every time I bring you in the studio, I have fun because, again, I'm trying to carve out amazing images that make you look real strong, real good. And at the end of the day, I know that when you use that image, you feel great about it. Yeah. That's kind of why I have your shot in my studio, because it looks really good and I'm proud of it.
No, and that's the thing is, like, I think sometimes, because, a lot of people think, and I guess this is the thing, in my mind, I think it would be very tricky, very hard to be a photographer, because, like, I think you do really have to have a special eye for it. But then a lot of people also think that it's easy. All I'm doing is shooting a picture, right? And so, like, that's one of the things, like, explain more of that to me, because I mean, you really have to know what you're looking for. And, as far as seeing what the vision is of what you're trying to capture. And instead of, hey, I just take pictures, right?
Exactly. That's kind of what I was going to refer to. So there's a person who takes pictures, and then there's a photographer, right? So we all take pictures. We all have a great camera right in our little pocket. You know what I mean? So
it's always being upgraded.
Of course, it's being amazingly upgraded. So what our phones do per se is they can capture an amazing exposure. Mm-hmm. So it captures a great exposure because it's taking 100 shots in 1 second and mixing them all together, so everything looks good, right? Now, to capture someone's essence, to capture someone's personality, you have to provide that person with a little bit of feedback, and you got to guide them, and you got to make them feel comfortable. When we see bad headshots, when we see these business cards of people looking crazy, and I mean, I'm sorry for them, but this is, I'm out to cure the world of bad headshots. The idea is they couldn't have been comfortable. You know what I mean? Or the photographer themselves didn't realize that when you look like this, it looks bad. Right. Or, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't see how you can, as a photographer, I don't see how you can see some of these images and let them walk away. You know what I mean? I understand that there are some people who are starting off, though. You know what I mean? But there's also professionals who let their clients walk out like that. So, again, for me, when I'm working with the client, it's about capturing who they are, making them look confident, make them look great, and just having a good time with them. You know what I mean? So it's creating an experience for them that when they leave, they feel good about themselves. As contrary to, again, I've had, even this week, I've had clients tell me about their past experiences and that's why I put it on my website. It's almost like having gone to a dentist's office and having a bad experience. You never want to go back.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, like, it's funny is because, I was at the gym the other day, and I had there was a female there, and she was wearing one of my Real Hustle t-shirts. Yeah. I was like, let me grab a picture of you, all right? So we can put it on, I can market it on Facebook and show it. And then before I had a chance to, she sent me a message. She said, hey, I need to prove that that picture. And she's like, and I sent it to her, and she's like, no, that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. She goes, you need to do whatever you need to do. I was like, I don't know how to do any of that. She goes, well, the problem is we did it in front of the mirror. There was a mirror behind us, and I guess it just, I don't know, whatever. But, like, to me, like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I have no idea. Like, and I don't capture certain things. Like, half the time when somebody is taking a picture, I'll be like, I'll hand my phone to Debbie and be like, you take it because she takes better pictures. Because sometimes I think, women just have, like, they know what other women want, or they know how to capture it better. Me, I'm just like, here, click, click, click.
Sure.
And so it's like, it's not something that I'm well at. But I do, that's the thing, is like, that's one of the things that I love about what you bring is just the way you capture a certain image. And you brought some headshots, right?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to bring some.
Show some of your work.
A couple of images that, again, I've done, again, in studio and things like that. Again, I just look at it and I can tell, that she's comfortable, that she feels confident, that she looks great. This gentleman has to be one of my favorite headshots, just for the simple fact that he does not portray this in his normal day look, man. I'm telling you, everyone who saw this shot in his office and everything was like, I can't believe that's him. You know what I mean? Now, again, it's not because I photoshopped it. It was because I got him in such a way that honestly, he just looks like a tough guy. And I love this shot of him. He's much more sweet of a guy than the way he looks in here, but he looks awesome. And so it's what I try and teach my clients, that, hey, sometimes you got to close your eyes, or close your eyes up a little bit to kind of add a little bit of mystique, add a little bit of, emotion to the image. And then this is one of the shots that we got of you a while ago that just looks, again, amazing. This is why I have it in my studio. People refer to this image a lot. You're popping off this off the background very well. The lighting is awesome, and I love the expression.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some good ones. I know, like, because we just did some stuff on Monday.
Yeah.
And then, it was one of the ones you just sent me yesterday. I saw, and I was like, and I keep looking at it, and I'm like, dang, I like that one.
Yeah.
Dang, I like that one. I was like, I was like, you know what? No, I got to figure out a place to use it. I was like, because it's just like, it turned out so well, and it's crazy. It's like, but it's one of those things. It's like, it takes several times and different moments, like, and to capture, I think, in your client's eyes or in your eyes, where you catch them right at that right time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
timing is really, really important. I mean, when we're doing video, of course, it's just, you get what you get. But my goodness, when it comes to, photography, you have to capture that split second. Even like when I'm doing event photography, you're working the room, you're just waiting for that smile to crack open and get the shot. So, it's really about that split second where that person's just showing a great emotion, looks great, especially with headshots. You've got to get them in that right mentality, and then everything will just flow, man. It's wonderful. I love it because, like I said, I see how people have told me how different it is than what they've had in the past. So I love it.
So one of the things I've been asking a lot of my business owners and people is how did COVID affect you?
Yeah, I mean, it shut me down for a good 2 months. And ended up having to get a night job and things like that, to kind of keep things up. So it definitely affected me. People not wanting to be, in front of someone, it was a little tough for a little bit, but
everything was closed down. You couldn't even go anywhere.
Nope. So luckily we got right back into it once people started feeling more comfortable and things like that. So we got through it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is that's what I was just asking the guy that we were talking to before. I was just like, because he was in a restaurant and he had to shut down for a few months and like trying to figure out ways. And I think that's really a part of being successful is like, all right, how do I get past this? Am I willing to do whatever it takes to get me through, and then get my business back going once we're past it? Because nobody expected that to happen last year.
No, of course, yeah.
And unfortunately, who knows? It may happen again. We don't know, I mean, it was just one of those things. So, so tell our audience, because, if we have somebody who's listening, somebody that wants to be a photographer or wants to be in business for this, what were some of your struggles, and then what were some of your successes from the business standpoint?
Yeah.
What would your advice be?
So, one of the more difficult things, kind of like I referred to earlier, was my mentality, right? So I had an employee mentality all my life, and so had no business plan. Excuse me. Had no business plan. Really didn't have an idea of how to run a business. And so one of the things that we see day to day is people with an amazing skill to either, let's just say a cook, or, and you want to use that as your business. So you open up a business, you start cooking this delicious food, but 6 months to a year down the road, they're closed. It's not because of the food. So the product is one thing, but the business aspect is the most difficult part of it. You do have to know business. Your mentality has to be in that business field. of understanding how to price things out, how to keep costs down. I mean, the most difficult part for me was the business aspect of things. I think that a business plan of where you want to be and how you want to get to that point is super important. And so again, man, most important thing, have that business mentality. For a photographer getting into it, there's a lot that goes into becoming a photographer. Of course, you've got to get your camera, your gear, basically. So that's and learning it, right? I mean, when I first started, I didn't know what an f-stop was, and I thought it had to do with the lens or something like that, and it took me like a while to figure it out. It was years ago, of course. So, we didn't just jump on YouTube immediately, you know what I mean? So in that time I was reading books on photography and things like that to kind of learn. So yeah, learning the photography part of it is super important, of course, to build your confidence, because if you don't feel confident in your ability to take a photo, then that you're not going to make your client feel comfortable. You know what I mean? So yeah, for photographers, practice. You know what I mean? Practice on everybody that you can. Free shoots are always going to be where your starting point is. And then, seeing what type of photography you want to focus on. It took me a while to realize that, I just want to do headshots. I want to work with people, one-on-one, whereas running behind a bride all day is tough. You know what I mean? But there's some people who love that. Some people want to be an outdoor photographer where they don't use flash or anything like that. Natural light photographers. So it's really, again, that business plan is important because it all encompasses how you want to do your business, how you want to run your business. For me, again, it was putting forth that plan so I can create something for myself that I was very comfortable with, that I actually loved. And so it takes a little bit of time for you to kind of learn what it is that you want to do and how you want to do it. But, once you get there, then it just feels great.
I think you got to find what part of that, though, is what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so you know that you want to do photography, and that this is something that I'm passionate about. But then I think the next part has to be, what am I passionate about? Shooting. Is it wildlife? Is it people? Is it headshots? Whether it's weddings, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Because I think there's so much. I mean, you really don't realize how big photography can be.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a wide range of stuff that you can do, and and just not just be like, oh, I'm gonna be a photographer and I'm gonna take all these pictures. Because I think you need to have a certain price. I would assume a set skill, certain skill set, I'll get it out, to do each different one, I would think, right? Because if you're doing action photography or if you're doing, headshots, there's all kinds of different things.
Yeah, you want to focus on what you're good at, right? And again, when you say, okay, I want to shoot people, then yeah, it's pretty broad, right? So you can do headshots, you can do high school seniors, you can do weddings, you can do events and things like that. So it kind of gives you a broad, but now if you're a shy person, don't want to talk, then yeah, your wildlife, your macro photography, sports, which is going to require different gear, because that's high action, that's very fast. You got to have a very high, very long lens and things like that. So every type of photography is also going to require different gear. You know what I mean? So you never want to invest a bunch of money into wedding gear and then switch to sports gear. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? So
that's the thing, is like, I know. So my son is a videographer, and he, and I know what he spent on some of his equipment.
Yeah.
And it gets costly. I mean, super costly. I'm like, how much? And every time I'm turning around, I'm like, well, we need this cord, we need this, we need that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And so like, I can only imagine how expensive it gets especially when you want to become a photographer because of all the upfront cost.
Sure.
I mean, those cameras are expensive.
Yeah.
You know, and then the lenses are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So they add up. So, like, that's the other thing I think people need to realize. You just can't take out your phone and be like, I'm going to be a professional photographer.
No.
You know?
And vice versa, right? You can't just buy a nice camera and think you're a photographer either. You know, I mean, I know a doctor who's got, $5,000-$6,000 camera, but doesn't know how to use it, right? I mean, he knows how to take a photo, but he's not even using it for anything that requires that beast of a camera. Right. So, again, we you have the option of one or the other, whether you're buying too much or buying too little. But yeah, you never want to invest in something and then kind of switch out, because I mean, you'll have to sell some gear and kind of rework what you want to do,
Yeah, it just gets kind of, try to figure out, maybe start with something really cheap equipment, and then work your way to whatever you want to find out.
Yeah, and, again, depending on what you're doing, you don't need a lot of gear. You know what I mean? You the important thing when you're beginning is to learn lighting and learn posing and learn, composition, because those are the fundamentals of who you're going to become as a photographer. So you don't really want to start off with a lot of gear, because that's just going to trip you up. It's just going to, not allow you to grow your experience and your ability to use a camera. Some people, they'll see me take a photo and they'll be like, wow, what a great camera. And that's a slap in the face, right? Because I'm like, no, it's not, it's a great camera, of course, but my goodness, if I switched all these settings and handed you my camera, you would not be able to do what I do. You know what I mean? So, it's about learning how to use your equipment the right way and knowing, what makes a great shot, great composition,
that
great
lighting is crazy. Yeah, because I know lighting's a big part of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, let's try this light. All right, let's change this light a little bit,
Yeah.
I mean, even here in the podcast studio, the lighting, depending on how we get. Because when we first started this, we actually used white. So we had the red now.
Yep.
And we started with white, and we added the red, and we're like, oh, my God, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't we start this beginning? So lighting's like huge.
Yeah.
And so, all right, so with that all being said, okay, so I know you have a location downtown Sarasota, right,
Yes.
where you can get your headshots. Where do you see yourself going from here? What's next?
Yeah, so, I talk about this, with my wife, and then again, kind of when I'm looking at my goals and things like that. The idea is to have a larger studio, of course, and to be able to have people that work in the studio that do the photography that I personally maybe not want to do. So, I don't ever want to turn down clients, as I'm having to do now, of course. But, if there's somebody who wants photos of their child or something like that, or baby photos, weddings and things like that. So my idea is to have a larger studio where I can provide all those services through different photographers, and being able to do it all under one roof. So that's the goal, is to, again, grow the business to where I still will focus on headshots, but not even that. I want to have, another headshot photographer to help me out, so that I can look towards maybe other things in the photography industry myself, or in other things, you know what I mean? Create, that passive income, of course, so,
Right.
you've got to expand. You never want to stay stuck. And so, my passion for photography most likely will keep me in that realm, you know what I mean? But I do, want to, create that passive income, so that, and I love the idea that if I need to move somewhere, the photography goes with me.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
studio can stay, because again, that's my idea, is that the studio be able to run itself, And so if I need to move out one day or go somewhere one day, then at least I know that my business is taken care of, and just by taking my equipment with me, I can set up shop anywhere, you know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. So where are you located downtown?
So I'm on the corner of Weber and Beneva. Address is 3616 Weber Street. It's unit 200. And, that's inside of a little plaza right there, close to the Parrot restaurant that a lot of people know about.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. And what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The website is gonna have all the information. So if you go to www.thesignaturelook.com, it'll have my email. You can book your sessions online. You can look at my work, things like that. It has the phone number on there. So I always direct people there first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah. No, it's my pleasure, Chris.
Anything else you want to add?
No, man. At the end of the day, it's wonderful to be, a business owner, but it is a lot of hard work. You know what I mean? It's a lot of hard work. And I wish that people, or I wish for people, that they prepare themselves well so they don't have to go into such failures that, a lot of people do go into. I've had my studio for about 3.5 years now, so I'm passing that little curve that most businesses kind of, close down, and especially through COVID and everything like that. So, me personally, I thank God for everything that I have and the ability to have my studio for the time that I've had it, and still being able to grow. So right now we are in that growing phase, but yeah, I just want people to prepare themselves for business so that when they get there, man, they can go ahead and kill it.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest thing is being a business owner or doing anything that you want to be successful in life takes a lot of hard work, right?
Oh, yeah. And
so, whether it's, even if you don't own the business or if you're doing something, give it your all and be successful at it if you're going to be successful at it. And then even if you're working for somebody right now, let's say you hire somebody as a photographer and then they eventually want to open up their own studio, that's the thing. It's like, show what you can do and work on your way and then work your way out.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is like, well, I can never do that or I can never get there. But you can get there. It's just there's a certain way of doing it.
Yeah.
And, and so, it takes time. I do mortgages. That's what pays my bills and everything else. And I work for a mortgage company. I don't own the company, but we have success at what I do, and I have no intention of ever owning a mortgage company.
Sure.
I don't ever want to own one. I have no desire to own one, but I do have other businesses, and so that's the thing. So I do run other businesses that I have, but they're a lot of hard work as well. So but just because you're doing one thing doesn't mean that you can't do other things. And
exactly.
So, and it is the hard work and putting it out there. And that's the thing is like, and this is why I really did start doing these podcasts, is because so many people don't get to hear your story.
Sure.
And so many people don't get to hear the other people that I have on here, their story of where they came from, what they went through, how they got there. They know you as the photographer, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that, hey, this is what I went through, or hey, I was an insurance agent and then this is, how I got started.
Yeah.
And, and it's just one of those things. It's just like, it's so nice to just learn more and more about people in our community.
Absolutely.
And learn how they came about. And, and it's one of those things. It's like, and everything, every time, every person, no matter who's in here and sitting across from me, they all talk about how much hard work it took to get there and what it took to get to where they are today.
Yeah.
And, and so that's just a common theme for successful business owners.
Absolutely.
So, well, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you for coming.
No, it's my pleasure.
Yeah. All right. And so that's pretty much it. Okay.
Fantastic.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next show. Please make sure you subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.